Hello and welcome to Auto CAD for LA's Section 1. In this section we're just going to go over the basics of Auto CAD, hopefully to familiarize you with polyline and some of the shapes and some of the things that you can do with just drawing, understanding layers and a few other key things that are really important. This is model space. I had a drawing already open, but if I didn't, I guess I can start from scratch. Just double click on Auto CAD. It's just a basic drawing. Put you in model space. Alright. The main line or function you use is going to be polyline when you draw. And you can either execute that by hitting PL enter for polyline, and then you have your polyline, or you can select this icon here. This icon is found it's basically your draw toolbar. If you don't have that showing, you can find an empty spot on your toolbar area, right click. You see draw, when I click on that it disappeared. Hit that back, there you go. Okay, so you can click here for polyline as well. We use polyline because it allows you to use arcs with it and keep the same line segment, or not have it broken apart. You'll see it has these little prompts, and you'll see this as you do everything in AutoCAD. There's always command lines, and a lot of times if you get stuck and you don't understand why it's doing something, look at the bottom because it might be asking you to do something. Excuse me. If you want to do an arc, you would just hit A, enter, or type in arc. Excuse me, and it allows you to create these arcs. See? And that's huge because it's still one line, just in different segments. Now, if I use the line tool, I'd have to use the arc tool and connect to it, and it just doesn't make sense to do it like that. So just draw with polyline. And as a matter of fact, working professionally, I never used line tool. It was always polyline. So just make your life easier now and just get accustomed to it. Okay. Other things you have is a circle tool. Just click on it. It allows you to stretch it out. You'll see you can specify radius of circle or diameter. You hit D for diameter, enter, put in 20. 20-foot diameter. If you had a R 20, radius is a 40-foot diameter. So you can specify a specific radius or diameter for your circle that you're trying to achieve. They're really good for doing. This is basically what people use for doing trees. You can use blocks for trees as well, but if you're just doing a rough line drawing and you're gonna render over top of it, or just a construction plant document, you don't want it to be too fussy. Just use circles and just specify whatever your plant width is going to be. So that's circle. You have this thing called revision cloud, which I typically only use to, I guess you can do it for red lines and stuff too, and mark things out, but basically what it does, it just creates a kind of like this rippled shape, a whole bunch of radiuses. I only use it for putting in like annual beds and stuff, to specify an area for annual bed. Now you can adjust the size of the arc of these. You click on revision cloud again. See what says arc length down here. You can just hit A for arc length, enter, and it's at 1 right now. So you want it to be 5 and 5.1. Now when we do it, you'll see that the segments are much larger, so you can control this. And you can also use this for massing, tree massings. I guess I do use it for that sometimes too, for a particular area. Oops. Boom. There you go. So that's a pretty useful tool. Spline, I never use. Just another way of drawing kind of these radiuses, and polyline does the same thing and better in my opinion, so that's what I use. This is the elliptical tool. You can distort things and basically create an ellipse. So that's kind of cool. I very rarely use it, but if you need it, it's there. It's an ellipse arc. I never use that. Insert block. Well, I'll show you blocks later on. Another tool you use constantly is hatch. So let me go ahead and put this circle back out here. Okay. If you get a point where your thing's not zooming in and out, you can hit REA, enter. Oops. So it allows you to get your, give different pieces of a drawing in different areas. You can hit RE, or zoom extents, Z, enter, E enter. So say I had that over here, and I don't know, I had another circle way over here somewhere. Something to be cognizant of too, because it's pretty easy when you're bringing things, especially when you're importing and exporting stuff. It's easy to have pieces of drawings pop up in different places. And one of the advanced techniques I'll show you, especially for you juniors and seniors who are watching this, seniors might be a little late for this, but hopefully if you already don't know, it can help you. And if you don't know and it can't help you because you're too far along at this point, it's something good to know professionally. But that's something called X reference, and that'll be in the latter sections, not this one. But so you can't see it. So if I went Z enter E enter, it would show you what basically everything is in your drawing. It's on your in model space. Okay, back to hatch. You can click here for hatch or type in H enter. Your swatch is basically what the pattern is going to be. So for this, we'll just this honeycomb type thing. You can select points, internal points, or you can select the whole object. Internal points. So we're going to enter, and you can see it asks you for a scale and an angle. See what one looks like, and there you go. Now the scale of this can be manipulated, making it larger or smaller, and you can do that either when it first prompts you, or you can click on it, right click, go to properties, and everything that you draw will have a property to it. You know, everything that you draw in AutoCAD, every pylon, every hatch, everything will have a property allocated to it. You see it's a hatch. You'll see a scale here. So if you make it 5, oops, make it larger. If I made it 0.5, it gets smaller. Hatches are really cool because it helps you define areas like your concrete, your sidewalks, what's going to be your grass area, beds and stuff. So you'll use hatches a lot, and also for construction documents. You'll use hatch, so you'll get used to that real quick. Another tool you can use that's very similar to hatch is gradient, and I never use gradient. I feel like AutoCAD is a drafting program. Not to say in the future it won't become kind of a blend between a rendering and also just straight CD drafting. But right now, it's much easier for me just to export things in a PDF and to Photoshop and render it there. I have a lot more freedom and flexibility. But it's good to know. It's on here, so I'll click that. Same thing, I'll just select the point, click on it, enter. We'll click OK. And there you go. I never use it though, but good to know, I guess. Okay, then you have your tables. Allows you to create tables, and I typically don't do that in AutoCAD because you can import Excel spreadsheets, and I haven't played with this too much, but it seems pretty simplistic if you just follow it, you know. But I'm pretty familiar with Excel, so I'll just import tables from Excel, and it works a lot easier for me. Region, I never use it, don't know what it is. You can look it up if you're interested. I'm sure it's applicable to something. Multi-line text you will use all the time. Basically, it's just your text box, and you can select your font that you want to use. And this is something cool that we found when I was in the program. It's a font for, where are you at? North arrows. If you can't see them, we had this problem too. Like, what's going on? The arrows won't come up if you have cap locks on. But if you don't, this is what you get. And I'll zoom in here in a second to show you. And basically, a north arrow is assigned to each key of your keyboard. You know, so you got kind of all these different type of arrows, even number keys. So it's really cool. Gives you some pretty cool graphics, and it's quick north arrows. So I'll make sure to put this font into the DV on the end point of the DVD, so you guys can upload that and also the pen setting, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. You probably need an administrator to put it in, which means Sabrina. If it's not there, I'll try my best and working with Perry and Sabrina to have it uploaded to all the computers. But it's just it's a cool font. I mean, pretty cool to be able to create a note there that quickly. But that's multi-line text. Now you can You can get to multi-line text by either clicking the icon or typing MTEXT, MTEXT, and specify your first colon. It's the exact same thing. You'll use that constantly. The next biggest concept, and probably the most important behind using polyline to draw with, to start off with, is layer management. Layer management is huge. Layer management is going to allow you to turn things on and off. It's going to allow you to isolate different layers that you need to isolate. And also it's going to allow you to print different pieces when you create these PDF renderings. So it's very important that you understand layer management and how that works. So here's my layer manager here. Layer properties manager. If you don't have that, you know, it's in here somewhere. It's one of the, it's properties, I believe. Let's check it out. It's not properties. It's not viewports. It's not styles. It must be under standard. No, good God. Anyway, I'm not gonna go through all these. It's one of those. If you don't have it, then you can find it. It's in there. You'll find it. But anyway, layer properties manager. I'm clicking on this icon here to drop it. Now, you always default to layer 0. All right. What you want to do is create a layer for each. You think about when you do things, even in design, you think in layers. You know, everything's on a different plane. Things are three-dimensional. You should do your drawings the same way. So you'll have like I don't know, proposed sidewalk. Spell it right. We'll do another one. Have proposed trees. You know, maybe existing road. And so on and so forth. That's all we need for this exercise. You'll see that you can turn these things on and off. And freeze does the same thing. It turns them on and off. And I don't know what the difference is between them. They both turn things off. I haven't looked into it enough and it never came up while I was working. So it was kind of either or. You can lock the layer so you can't touch it. Color. Always work in colors. Colors allow you to read, allows your drawing to read and identify what layer is what, because it's easy to get lost, especially when you have a lot going on in your drawing. It's pretty detailed, and you have hatches, and it's just, I don't know, it's always use color. Another reason for using color is because of pen settings. And what pen settings are basically, they take a color and they assign properties to it, line weights. And you can create these pen settings yourself or use the one that I have that I'm giving you. And there's also one that North Carolina standard, I believe, that it's in CAD that you can select. Excuse me. And what line weights are line weights. It's thickness. It's like your darkness. Like when you're doing hand drawings, when we first learned, you know, the higher up you get, the darker things should become. So your buildings and your tree canopy should be the darkest thing on your drawing, and as you go down lower, things should get lighter. Helps give your drawing depth, and then you add shadows and helps things pop. And no different in Auto CAD, you can replicate that same thing, so you don't have to worry about line pressures and sharpening a drafting pencil. So I'm going to go ahead and begin to select colors for this. Typically, I do sidewalks red or yellow. And the way my pen settings work, it goes from, it uses just these colors here, not any of these, but these. And it goes red being the lightest all the way up to white being the thickest. So I'm going to do that for sidewalk. Trees, I'm going to make those blue for this drawing. Roads, let me go ahead and make those. Let me make roads red actually, and make my sidewalks yellow. Okay. Okay. Now, I'm going to click here to pick what layer I want to draw with. We're just going to do a quick road. So I'm going to do polyline, PL, enter. Click here, click. I'm going to create an arc, A, enter. I'm just kind of arc up. Okay. Another cool tool to use on command is offset, and you use this all the time. And that's O, enter. And you can go through or select the actual distance. If you type T for through, enter, you click on the item you want to offset, and go anywhere you want, and it'll offset it to that point. Oftentimes as LAs we want to be more specific than that, so you hit O, enter, type in the distance, say 12 feet, so it's 12, enter, click on the item you want to offset, click over, so that's 12, it should be 12 feet, let me make sure that's right, 12, yeah, okay, we just made a big line, big arc. Okay, so that's our road, it's 12 feet, so if we do the distance, if you do a DI, enter, and click on it, and other side, it should be 12. That's how I didn't explain to you guys. O snap. If you're wondering how I'm snapping to these things, and like, why is mine not doing that? I have my O snap on. These items here, you can snap mode. I don't really use that. Grid. Turn the grid on. Grid too dense to display. Grid is basically just creates a grid on your drawing. I never use that. I use Ortho basically and O snap the most. O snap allows you can turn it on and off, toggle it on and off here, or you can hit F3. Turns it on and off. It snaps to things. So if I have it on and I'm drawing a line, you'll see that these little icons come up, allow me to attack the things. See that? When I go to an end, boop, boop. Okay. If it's off, then you don't have it. All right. Now you can select the, you can right click on it, and you can basically tell it what you want it to snap to. I have everything selected right now. It's typically what we keep it on, unless your drawing gets super complicated, and then I might just put endpoint or perpendicular tangent. Nearest is the one that really gets you because it does everything that basically is on that line. But this is a super important tool. You use it all the time. So get used to it. Show you, because it's like for midpoint, for instance, let's do a square. Say you want polyline, you want to find the midpoint of it. You know, see that triangle indicates a midpoint. It'll tell you midpoint, and go straight down. This is a good time. Okay, I'm using my recording program behind this, so I can't use my other function to turn it on. So I have to use the icon. But Ortho basically makes your line straight. It keeps it at 90-degree angles, or you can actually specify the angles you want to keep it at, but it defaults to 90. So obviously good for drawing buildings where there's no, you don't want your line to meander. It just makes things straight. And you see it's straight. No matter what you do, it's going to be straight. And when you click on it and you're practicing behind these techniques, you'll see what I'm talking about. And if you don't, then you click it off and you're back to your normal polyline. You can do anything you want. Okay, and then Ortho doesn't really have settings, but there's a function key allocated to all these, and I think Ortho is F8. I believe when I hit F8 now, it stops my recording. It's pause. But super important to know are your O snap and Ortho, and you use those constantly. Okay, so I got this road done. Let me go to trees. Use my circle. I'm gonna go diameter 25. Move is M, enter. Click on the item, enter again, and then it'll ask you to specify a base point or displacement point. So I'm gonna try to click that center. Have my O snap on. I have Ortho on too. Okay. I'm gonna turn the O snap off because I don't want to snap to the line and kind of go around this thing. So then I'll go copy, COPY, enter. Oops. Copy, enter. Select the item. Click on it. Same thing. Displacement point. And on your newer versions of Auto CAD, it'll default to a multi-copy, or it'll just keep on going item after item. Some of your older versions of CAD, or if your Auto CAD has been set up, it'll just do one at a time, which is really annoying because I learned to do multi-copy and it was like one at a time. And basically, and to get around that, you just hit M copies for multi-copy. But like I said, for the newer versions of CAD, and I think the one that you guys are running, you won't have to. You just kind of run up and down. And I'll show you a cool technique for this. Putting trees and aligning trees, that's going to save time, but I'm just going to show you what copy does right now. You guys are going to love that tool though. It's called measure. Okay. I'm going to offset 6 feet to make this kind of a planter bed. And then I'm going to offset another 5 feet, make it a decent sized sidewalk. Now when you offset, it offsets for the line, the layer that you're on. So these are all on existing roads, right? So I'm going to click on these two, and I'm going to put them on sidewalk. And as you see, I clicked on the color change, indicating it's on a new layer. So, and I'm just reiterating why it's important to make sure that you have different colors of sign, because it helps me read. Because if it was all white, it'd be harder to know rather than just clicking on a line. This is a visual indicator of what layer it's on. Okay. Did I have anything else in there? Okay, now the reason why we do things in layers, so we can turn things on and off. I told you guys about lay freeze, maybe. If I had lay freeze, lay thaw, lay on. Those are the icons you saw here, basically. Oops. These. Now you can either adjust them here, or you can type the command in and just freeze things as you go. So say you guys just wanted to work on the road or the sidewalk, right? You don't want to see your trees. You can type in lay, free, L-A-Y-F-R-Z, enter. Click on the layer you don't want to see, and enter again. Oh, I'm on the layer. It won't let you freeze if you're that's the active layer. So I'm just going to click on this other layer here, and I'm going to click on this icon. It says make objects layer current. So now I'm on existing road. So now let's try that again. L-A-Y-F-R-Z. I'm going to click on the trees. Boom, they're gone. Now they're still there in your drawing. They're not disappeared. I mean, unless you just move this whole thing. But if you're just, making, say you wanted to add, I don't know, some kind of an intersection or something here. Popping off, I don't know. You'll find that you'll have to isolate it, because it'll get too messy. If you have a planning plan done and you need to make some modifications, it's always good to be able to modify the particular layer that you want, rather than have to do everything on one layer. And then when you create PDFs, you need to be able to turn things on and off to get the sections that you want. And you can turn them on. So I think I did lay freeze, so L-A-Y-T-H-W, turns it back on. Now you could also do lay off, L-A-O-F-F, turns it off too. The difference between the two, I have no idea. L-A-Y-O-N, lay on, turns it back on. And you can do the same thing for each layer. You just can't do it while you're on that particular layer. So that's that. Now, pen settings, let me show you what that means. Like I said, in section 3, we'll work on layout, and I'll show you guys how to set up a layout in the title block and layout space, and adjust your viewport and scale within your layout space. And then that's section 3. And in section 2, I'll show you actually how to scale a drawing like this. If you bring in an image or your trash, I'll show you how to scale that so you can begin to draw it correctly, and teach you how to use units, and we'll do some dimensioning and stuff too. Fun stuff. Love dimensioning. Okay. So pen settings. So I'm gonna do Control P. These are my plot style tables, pen assignments. Okay. I'm gonna use LDI 2007 because that's the one I've been using, and I actually borrowed from my previous employer to give you guys, and I think I modified it a little bit, so I need to change the name of it. But basically, it assigns a color, a weight to each color, like I told you. 8.5 by 11 is fine. Plot area, I'm gonna go window. I'm gonna draw a window about one where I'm gonna plot. All right. I'm not gonna worry about scaling anything, so click PDF Creator. You have to select what paper or what plotter you're going to. I have a program called PDF Creator. Plus, I have Adobe on here now too. PDF Creator just seemed like it made clear PDFs when I was rendering stuff in Photoshop, so it was free and I downloaded it. You'll have DWG to PDF on your computers. It does the same thing. We'll play with the resolution. I haven't done DWG to PDF in a long time because at work we had Adobe. We just printed with that, and now I have PDF Creator. So there might be a way to adjust the resolution so it comes out clear from DWG to PDF. But that's essentially what you would select for printing PDFs. So I like what I have. I'm gonna click OK. Save it to my desktop and call it sample. It's the old one. And when I print mine, it pops up and shows you what you got. Now, as you can see, it's assigning line weights. So these things are blue now. You see how they're now. First of all, you notice a couple of things. You notice that it's not printing the colors; it's printing in black and white, which is what you want. But it's also printing this thickness. So your trees are obviously thicker than your sidewalk layer and your street layer, which is pretty important. It helps your drawing read. That's what you want. and that's why we use pen settings. Okay. Now to put in your pen settings, I'll put the pen settings. Basically, it's like a same way you would insert a TIFF file for a font. Their file, plot style manager, and you'll see. Now, my thing came with North Carolina Standard, and I think you all have that too. And you can click on it, and I'll show you how to. You might be able to double click on this actually, and it'll show you. Yeah, form view, and it tells you what each color is, and it'll tell you the line weight and stuff. So you can actually just use your North Carolina setting. What I would do is for each one, even if you use LDI, just take all the colors and do like lines side by side and then print it off so you know what the thicknesses are. And then maybe tag each one like red for the first one, then yellow, and so on and so forth, so you know what the thicknesses are, so when you draw, you know. But basically in LDI it just goes from red, which is your first color, all the way up to white. And that's the darkest. So red's the first one, that's going to be your lightest, and then white would be the darkest or the thickest. So you see LDI here. Now I have it on my desktop just to show you guys, and same way you would have it on your drive or on this DVD that you're looking at. You just drag it over. It's already here, so I'm not going to do it again, but blam, it's there. So now you'll be able to print with it. If you wanted to create your own, and by all means, if you feel like, well, I don't like that and I want to do my own thing, and that's great. You can go to Tools, Wizard, Add Plot Style, Add Color Dependent Plot Style Table. Next, we're gonna start from scratch. Import R4 pen settings or save automatically. Now, let's start from scratch. You can call it whatever you want in CAD. And plot style table editor, and then basically you go through the whole process and you select grayscale on or off, dither, and you give each color a property. And you guys, it's pretty self-explanatory. You guys can figure it out from there. You select what you want for each thing. If you want to, feel free. You don't have to because you have some already made for you. But if you want to learn and you want to get really good at it, then that's how you do it. Okay. Anything else in this section? Snap settings, ortho, polyline, circle. Okay, well I guess that pretty much covers it for section 1. Just kind of give you a rundown of the functions and understanding how layers work. Hopefully it's a little bit clearer. And as you do this, really the only way to learn is to get on it and actually do it and run into problems. When I started with Auto CAD, the hardest part was just starting, you know, and because I didn't know what questions to ask. I knew that AutoCAD was a drafting software. I didn't have it in high school, but I knew that that's what everybody was using, and I knew I didn't like drafting things by hand. So once you get on, you'll learn pretty quickly, and you'll know what questions to ask. You have a lot more specific questions, and hopefully we'll be able to answer most of those for you. And what we can't answer, we'll find out. And but don't be scared to ask Google either. Google's very knowledgeable. Alright, so that pretty much wraps up section 1. Section 2, we'll work on some more advanced properties, show you guys how to make a block, how to use mirror, the measure tool, how to scale your drawing, use a line, how to bring in an image, and then we'll actually trace a drawing and show you guys how to do that, and to create a base map and whatnot. And that'll wrap up section 2, and then we'll move on to section 3, and that'll be title block creation, setting your plotters, putting in your pen settings, which is pretty much you should be able to do at this point. After, if you go back and rewind and look at that, it's the same thing, just under file, page setup, manage, under layout. And yeah, then hopefully you guys will be well on your way to drafting plans. All right.